So it says that we are live streaming now. So. And like I said, I think we're just waiting on Melanie. So we got about a minute or two yet. So Lori Duncan's is not yet here yet. So she'll be joining us, I'm sure, shortly. So. What a surprise.
They took her phone. I don't know they can correspond. She has her laptop, but I don't think they can correspond. They're usually pretty good. So
I'm gonna share my screen.
VMI, and they have help for all the cadets. So she's at home. Start last night. But I think she's it's still nice. Yeah, I haven't heard her voice in 2 weeks. She'll type one word like, how's it going? All good. Yep. No. Yes. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
How long they've been out,
How's the
what
food,
you
man?
have, what
Like,
categories they
can
fall
we
under.
just talk? Like,
Because that of course changed again, and we're like, how do we cover all of these without having multiple forms for
Yeah,
you
talk
guys?
to
But it's very
Lonnie,
hard
he
to
sent
keep track.
he
Like,
trained her.
like when I give each of you how long
Help
they've been
training
and
her.
what their status is.
She's like, yeah, I sent her an email. She got back to me. It's a thanks.
So
man.
it was just, I finished my job this afternoon. I sent out to my team, and they finally
Jeez,
sent it back.
I'm
Like,
not
oh, we need to get this off our plate. It's so.
All right. Yep. Melanie's joining us. She just joined us. So, hint, hint, Perry.
Look at this system. I love all this compliance.
All right. I think.
So I figured we had to have this and voted in. Otherwise, if it wasn't approved, then people can do whatever they want.
So. All right.
You good to go?
7 o'clock. I think the only person we're missing is Lori Duncan. If she comes in, I'll let her in.
Okay.
So why don't you start us off?
We don't have a secretary or secretary.
I can fill in.
Okay, Madam Secretary, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Call the meeting to order at 7:01 on Monday, the 24th of August. We will pledge allegiance to the flag, and we will give a special moment of silence for the student that we lost recently.
All right. So for those that are listening, we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Then we're going to have a moment of silence for our high school student that passed away recently.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you.
Someone trying to get in here. Hold on here 1 second. That would be Mrs. Duncan. So we have our secretary joining us here.
Okay.
She is in.
Let them know that we have started, and I guess we will go right to our assistant superintendent, Dr. Perry.
So actually, before we do that, just so Lori Duncan, welcome. Let you know that we did start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. And right now we just have Pat Gowker is absent, but everyone else is present either via here in person or Zoom.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So Assistant Superintendent Report. In lieu of those tonight, we're going to actually do a report together.
Okay.
And that's going to be talking about the Conewago Valley Online Academy for our students.
Very good.
And before we get into that, I will say there is one comment to read related to the agenda item. And that's from Ryan Fox of 600 Forest Drive, Abbottstown, PA. Regarding Conewago Valley Online Academy, kudos for pushing this forward for this year and future years. I guess this might end snow days. I'm hoping. Question, Has any cost/benefit analysis been completed regarding CVOA versus cyber schools yet? Perhaps we will find a quick boost to the bottom line. And then he goes on to ask, how many weeks of cleaning supplies do we have on hand to start the year in general? So I'll address both questions. In regards to the cleaning supplies, we have cleaning supplies for the year like we would every other year. We're waiting on a few extra additional cleaning supplies that we ordered through the grant money and the CARES Act funds. Just like every other district, we're ready to go. We have enough cleaning supplies. We have enough hand sanitizer, wipes, gloves, masks, whatever we need, we're ready to go. And we have more on order, and we're just waiting for that to come in. And we'll have that easily probably by October at the latest, but we have enough cleaning supplies that last us well into the almost the entire school year.
And everything.
Yes, and everything's in place, ready to go. In regards to the cost analysis, we have looked at cost analysis. If our online academy is successful, the benefit of us doing this, we could look to potentially recoup for the district anywhere from $1.5 to $2.5 million, depending on the number of kids that either enroll in our online academy if it's approved tonight, or even come back to us if they've already been gone. So every year we face a deficit of approximately $2 million to begin with because of online and charter schools. If we are successful and we can bring students back, we stand to gain back anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million for our district. So, that being said, I'm gonna share my screen here on a presentation called Conewago Valley School District, and that's the Conewago Valley Online Academy, CVOA. So we use basically the template from our back to school plan that we shared with the community. And the idea is we looked at, can we provide a safe environment for our students? And that's our belief system. Obviously, the social emotional benefits of in-person are critical still. And we're looking at what in-person looks like, because in-person can also mean our teachers interacting with our students, whether it's in person or online. It's still that face-to-face, it's that recognition that we know each other. And then we also looked at the fact that we need to make sure we protect the health of our students in our community when we're looking at these plans. So the context for creating CVOA, we looked at district administrators, analyzed the input from stakeholders. We looked at the survey data from the families in June and July. We also looked at the staff, and we looked at their thoughts on everything. And we also met with district and building administrators through meetings virtually and in person. And one thing that came crystal clear through is if there was an online option through Conewago Valley, parents would consider it. If you recall back in, it would have been August 10th, but also in July 20th when I presented, the goal all along was to have an online academy. We did not want to rush through the process to get it going, but we feel we have a good enough plan in place, and actually not good enough, a great plan in place, to be quite honest with you, that I'm really proud of, that I think what we present tonight and what we talk about is going to be better than any cyber school, Lincoln Edge, anything else has to offer, because it's going to be our curriculum, our teachers. In addition, it allows our students to return to our district and reap all the benefits of being a colonial. So again, we look at that guidance from CDC, PDE, and other resources out there. We look at the timeline of things. So we started reopening committees June 15th. We looked at that parent survey, staff survey. We had an administrative retreat. We reopened the committees on July 13th, follow-up parent survey on July 21st. August 10th, our plan was approved, and August 24th, we're having this special meeting to talk about the online academy. So the benefits of this, I'll briefly go over these, and I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Perry, who'll get into more of the meat and potatoes of our online academy. But obviously, I already mentioned, it's our curriculum. So if students if we come back to a full transition where we're completely in person, the students that are in our academy won't be behind. They will follow the same lessons and curriculum that our students in person are having also. So if we are back at any time, we come back in person, they're ready to go. They haven't missed a day. They haven't lost a thing because it's our curriculum and it's our teachers teaching them. Obviously, the relationship's already there. So there's no need for that time to get to know somebody new and to learn a new curriculum. Our teachers know it. On top of it, they know the students that are going to be in here. The nice thing is, and the advantage of our online academy versus Lincoln Edge versus any other cyber charter school is they could still participate. Obviously, all the extracurriculars, marching bands, sports, but in addition, they can also be part of our co-curricular activities, band, chorus, orchestra. So if you have a music student that is like, oh, I had to go to cyber school this year, I can't be part of the band, they can now be part of the band if they're part of our online academy. And that's a big selling point. They're now our students. In addition to that, a lot of our high school students were asking, if I go to Lincoln Edge, can I take classes in our CTC, our Colonial Career and Technology Center? And the answer was no. If you're part of our online academy, absolutely. You can participate in all of our curriculum that we have. Some of that may be you coming into school to actually work in the CTC. So almost like a hybrid model where you do your classes online, your core classes, and you come in to do your CTC work. In addition, if you were a member of Adams County Technical Institute and you had to withdraw because you went to Lincoln Edge, if you come back to us, most likely we'll figure a way to get you back into Adams County Technical Institute. So you get to be part of that also, which is another benefit. And obviously, you know, the other piece that we really looked at, why we looked at this, we heard loud and clear, at least I did through emails and even phone calls from students and families, they wish we had an additional choice to meet their needs. And we figured this would be it. Yep, come on up here and you and I switch. I'll hit your buttons, you push mine.
All right. If we come to work every day.
Good evening. To pull myself together. All righty. So the guiding principles of the Conewago Valley Online Academy is we got together and talked with our committees, talked with interested faculty members who were willing to help support us in developing this, and our coaches, as well as our curriculum framework personnel. There was strong force behind this idea, and many of the teachers, in fact, you know, as Dr. Russo previously mentioned, there was a lot of interest in this, and that came up as part of the instruction committee where I asked over and over and over again, do you actually feel like we can pull this off? Is this something that you as faculty believe that we can pull off? And unanimously they said yes. So I'd like to publicly thank them for their commitment to our students in this particular way. And that became very, very clear with this very heartfelt move towards supporting students during really, really interesting times. And knowing that there were very real reasons why students could not be with us in school the way that they would like. So the guiding principles as we began to conceptualize this was really providing the universal access and equity for all students. That was really our guiding force, that we never wanted a Conewago Valley School District student to feel that they were forced into a subcaliber option. We want to bring our children back. That's a #1 priority for all of us. We want them taught within our school system from our offerings. They need to come back where they belong. And we truly believe that this will provide that access and equity for all of our students. And as I mentioned, the district support to ensuring that all students have internet connections. We worked very, very strongly with our Director of Computer Services and his staff to ensure that we have hotspots available for any and all students, K-12. Thankfully, you approved 2 years in advance for us to be able to move forward with iPads K-12, which increases the equity and access. So we feel very well positioned. And with our learning coaches, a new addition to this support system, we do feel that we have the infrastructure to support this. So we couldn't be happier about how the planets are aligning for us. If we move forward with this, we envision the use of synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities. And what that means is there would be time where all the students would be working together with the teacher, and there would be an opportunity for students to work on their own independently and submit work. Also to schedule office hour times for needed support with learning support personnel, with the faculty, et cetera, because the goal for all of our students who would engage in the Conewago Valley Online Academy is that they would have the support that they need in order to be successful. The lessons would be delivered through consistent learning platforms, and we would use K3, Google Classroom, 4 through 6 would be Google Classroom and Seesaw. Actually, K3, 4, 6 could potentially use both. And grades 7 through 12 would be utilizing Schoology as the learning management system. There would be a structured schedule with instructor office hours, as I mentioned. And the assessment of student work would be through an established grading system that would be equivalent to as if they were here with us face to face to maintain that rigor and integrity of our curriculum.
Do we have enough devices to make this happen since we may be having an influx of students back in our realm?
So we have enough devices for the students, we believe, because we're helping to support many of those students who have gone to Lincoln's Edge. They have taken some of our devices with them to enable to support their education there. So we came up with a preliminary website. Oh, I'm sorry.
Along those lines. So the academy is that open to families in the district and families outside the district?
I think that that is a potential. We would have to look at that as any other tuition student that we would consider and bring forward to the board for your approval if it would be outside of the district. This time it is open to any and all members of our school district.
They would have
Yes. Okay. So we came up with a preliminary online academy website that I just would like to go through some of the parts with you. So if and when this were to go live, we have a register now button. This would go on to our regular district website and would be accessible for any interested students and families. It talks about, the guiding principles, that our curriculum is aligned to the standards, the devices, how special education services would be made available, being able to access co-curricular and extracurricular learning activities. We have a calendar. If it'll load. That would have a September 8th start date. So it would be a delayed start date to give us one additional week in order for us to move forward. So there would be a calendar there, for viewing for families. Grade levels would be broken up into bands as that information per grade level, one-stop shopping for families to get the information that they need. So for example, K3, we would presumably have the list of the teachers who would be responsible teaching, just like we do in our school systems. What are the learning management systems that will be utilized? What are expectations? And what are co-curricular opportunities that would be made available? Other applications for learning that would be included as part of their iPad, which were equivalent to the ones that are students who would be in the face-to-face model. So just to give you an idea of what that would look like, and this is a draft, it's just to conceptualize what we would like to share with our community. So same idea as you move through each of the grades and what the appropriate applications would be. There's student expectations, device information, special education. So for student expectations, this would take us into a Google Doc talking about the importance of following these guidelines for that student's success. So we provide a lot of upfront information for students and for families, specific device information. Talks about it's a 7th generation iPad, what the AT&T hotspot would look like to familiarize all of our students and families. Use of Zoom as a connector between the teacher and the students, as well as potentially the class. And in special education, this is a work in progress, but we are working directly with Dr. Corbin. And, we're identifying that each of the different types of needs of special education that we would have, how we would respond to that in this online platform, very clearly laid out per grade band. So it will look very different for a high school student as compared to a K-3 student, for example. So we would include that information and also include a glossary of terms, all of these acronyms and things that we talk about, but specifically around synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities to provide that information and what might be asked of students as part of that learning to provide some clarity so that families are able
If I
to.
may interrupt for a
Sure.
second. I know I received a question from the board about, are we preparing anything or doing anything for our parents who are going to be in this online world? And my response to the board was yes. Obviously, this is one of those sheets, those definitions when they hear these terms. The other piece is our instructional coaches are working on another website for our parents to access that will help them learn how to use Seesaw, how to use Schoology, how to access different things that they might not know how, because our kids, as great communicators as they are, we also recognize that we need to provide our parents that resource also.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Is it possible to get the entire system under one, say, the Google instead of having the school team see so? Can we have it all under one?
Learning management system. You could. It's not appropriate, in my opinion, developmentally for those children. It's much easier to interact with Google Classroom and Seesaw, are more age appropriate types of activities.
That's why we're using it.
Correct. Yes. We have begun to develop a frequently asked questions. Many of these have come, from our teachers, our coaches, our staff from in and among our administrative team. So we are developing a frequently asked page that would also be included on this website. And so I feel like this will continue to grow as we continue to grow. And as the questions begin to roll in, should this be approved this evening, we would anticipate that this list would become much longer.
So I'll say one of the questions we have been getting, and actually it's a frequently asked question, is how, if I choose to enroll in Conewago Valley online, how do I pick up my iPad? And what we'll do is we'll arrange for pickup times in the evenings to help working parents out, and sometimes even during the day, depending, our tech department will work on that. It'll be very similar to what we did in the spring when we asked the middle school students to come. We'll have like a curbside service pickup where they will register online, go through Skyward, pay their technology fee if they choose to, and then from there come pick up the device. We'll have everything ready for them, chargers, device, whatever else they need, and then they'll be able to go.
Question. So we said we were going to use Zoom as the communication vehicle. They address the security issues.
So we are looking, actually, right now we're saying Zoom, but we're also looking at Google Meet. what we're looking at Google Meet, though Google Meet offers a free version just like Zoom does, but we're looking at the paid version of Google Meet, which is offering a lot of the features that Zoom does. And we're researching both to see which one is a little bit more secure. Right now, Google Meet is looking like it might be a little bit more secure, but we're going to find out. Our technology director is looking into that right now. He's also looking at cost of what it would be for the paid version of Zoom versus the paid version of Google Meet. Because when you buy into Google Meet, the paid version of Google Meet, you're actually paying for an enterprise version of Google Education, which also then gives us a little bit more features on the back end of Google to use also with documents and other educational features. Any other questions for us to address before we move on to the agenda items?
One that I would have. How much enrollment are you going to allow per teacher?
Sure. So when we look at right now at the possibility of teachers, ideally we'd like to do one per grade level, or maybe two, or maybe one to cover 2 grade level spans. For example, a K1 teacher, a 2-3 teacher. We might look at a 4-5-6 teacher. We might look at a ELA 4-5-6, a math 4-5-6, just to cover the different subject areas. When we get to the middle school, same thing. We might look at a 7-8 social studies, a 7-8 math, a 7-8 English, depending on the number. If we need more, then we'll look to have more. But in an online world, you can house up to probably 50 students in a class compared to what in person. And the reason being, it's more customized and more tailored for that child. When we talk about office hours would be 3:45 to 9 o'clock for our teachers after school, after they're teaching a full day. They'll put in from 3:45 to 9, and that would be the time to meet one-on-one, small group, or even whole class with a group of students to go over work and to teach, or even to just do some type of review session. And so another question we had with this is, how does this work with attendance? With attendance, the way that we will take attendance in this online academy is by the student checking into the platform. That's step 1. Step 2 will be submitting work they have for that day. So it'll be a 2-step process for attendance: checking in, whether it's face-to-face or on learning platform with the teacher, and submitting their work that would be graded. That would count as attendance, daily attendance for us.
As far as participation, we do the synchronous training, and we increase the amount of activity checks.
Sure. So when you're looking at synchronous and asynchronous, irregardless if it's live in person or if it's a recorded, the difference from the spring, we took the idea of grace over grades in the spring just because it was an emergency. It was thrown on us literally March 13th and March 15th. We were thrown into a completely different world. Moving forward, we heard loud and clear from our community and from our teachers, there needs to be more accountability and more rigor with what we're doing. And that will be seen in the activities they do and the grading system that we use. So if they're a K-3 student, they'll follow the NOE CTE grading system. If they're in a 4-5-6 building, they'll follow that grading system. So all the work they do daily will get formative feedback through comments, through email, whatever the case may be, or even that in-person meeting will be the feedback. The quizzes and assessments they take online will be graded and scored just like they would if they were here in person. So the accountability piece will be that daily interaction with the teacher and that live interaction. Is that what you were looking for there? Or
Sort of.
okay.
And then the second question I had is regard to registration. Is there any kind of restrictions if I wanted to enroll my child by a certain date?
That's a great question. So my goal is, if the board approves this tonight, tomorrow morning, the community will get an email from me stating that registration is open. It's a very easy process. There'll be a link in the email I send that takes them right to a Google form. They fill out all the information they need. It's sent to myself and our central registration, and we'll take care of that and get back to them. But it all needs to be done by Wednesday, September 2nd. So that it gives us 2 days to make sure we have rosters ready to go and that we can start live on Tuesday, September 8th.
If I was enrolled in a charter school, can I come back to Conewago?
Sure. Yeah, the beauty of this is most cyber charter schools, you can unenroll and enroll when you feel you need the need to. So if they've enrolled in Lincoln Edge already, they've enrolled in another cyber school and they're like, well, I'd rather do this one. They just need to contact that entity and let them know that they wish to unenroll. And they automatically, when they unenroll, they become ours again anyway. They become part of our district again. And then from there, it's just filling out the Google form. Yep.
How about during the school year? I know we're trying to get this, so we have the numbers and everything ready here for the online school year. What about down the road? They're a month over there and they're finding out it's not working.
So what we'll do is when you look at some of the frequently asked questions, it's asked about how long do I need to be enrolled in our online academy? And we're saying K through 8, we'd like you to be in it for a trimester. So that's a service dog. And we're saying K through 8, a trimester, high school, a semester. So what they could do is if they're not doing well in that online cyber school that they're at and they want to come back to us, they would just have to call the building principal. We'd set up a meeting, we'd figure out if we can get them in through a marking period or at the end of the semester or trimester to join us back. So. No other questions. I'm checking to see if there's any comments, anything else to add to our.
How about our people out in Neverland? Do they have any questions?
That's what I'm checking.
No, I'm talking
The
about.
board members. I think.
Oh, any board members? That's true. Any other board members? Mr. Hoffman,
He's on YouTube.
he's on YouTube. Well, ask him if he texts you, if he has any questions, or even Mrs. Sauter, if you have any questions, or Mr. Buckley, feel free to chime in, please.
I'm good, but thank you. Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good as well. I couldn't quite hear the questions, but I did determine what the question was by the answer.
All right. We're hoping to have that fixed next time also. We're getting some new equipment to live stream with microphones that everyone will be able to be heard and seen. So we'll put the apron back up
Goodness.
on the table.
No one needs to see it.
That's right. Yeah. All right.
So
That's it. Any questions? He said.
Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. So I do have question just came in from Robert Adams, 415 Onyx Road. Will students be able to work ahead? Great question. Students will be able to work somewhat ahead. The goal for our teachers will be to submit work for the week on that Monday, so the students have it, or that Sunday or Monday, so the students have it for the week. So yes, students will be able to work ahead that week. They don't need to work daily. They can get the work done, submitted ahead of time, and just set up the meetings they need to with the teachers to get the feedback and fix anything that may need fixed. So.
That would be great. My grandson lives in Virginia, and their system is entirely different, but one teacher had him at 2:30 in the afternoon, next teacher had him at 6:30 in the evening. He says, look, my daughter structured them to get up in the morning, do everything normally, like you were going to run to the bus, sit down, eat your breakfast, and then you're sitting down to do schoolwork from, say, 7:30 on to 2:30. They take an hour for lunch, things like that. But all of a sudden, one teacher doing this, another teacher doing that. I'd really like to see it where kids realize they can be in school from 7:30 to 2:30.
So the difference between, and I'll address that, that's a great point to bring up. The difference between this online academy and if we had to go remote learning for any reason because of health concerns or governor's orders, this online academy has a lot more flexibility. If we had to do a remote learning because of health concerns, we will follow a daily schedule if we go remote learning. So if we're remote learning every day and we cannot bring kids into our school for some reason, that will be a normal schedule from 8 o'clock to 2:30 or whatever the case may be, where kids will have to log in, do synchronous lessons with teachers face to face and so forth. The difference with this online academy is those students will certainly have the opportunity if they want you to join in there, but they have that flexibility to do their work and still have the teachers meet them 3:45 to 9. And they'll have that work a week ahead of time also. And I think that's important because you see a lot of schools right now saying, hey, we're going remote learning. That's how we're going to start the school year. I'll give an example. York High, for example, is going remote learning K through 12, but they also have an online academy. And the online academy, the difference between the remote learning and the online academy, the remote learning is requiring kids to be on 5.5 hours a day. The online academy allows you that flexibility and freedom to do your learning when it suits you and your schedule. And that's what that will be the biggest difference that we have here. If we had to do remote, those online academy kids will still have that flexibility and freedom to do that. And then moving forward, like I said, in the future, we'll continue to build this online academy and offer even more possibilities of hybrid types of learning where kids might do a lot of their core classes online, but come in for music or come in for tech ed classes only. So allow that freedom and flexibility to do the learning they feel they need to. Anything else on the comments? I see you're in there also. Okay.
Sounds to me like we're on track to, to make this a success, right out of the gate. And, don't see any reason why we can't take a break tonight to see how everybody feels.
Okay. So I'll look to our solicitor. What do we need to do? I guess, obviously, I mean, we have public comment. We've read that. We have a recommendation for board action for step number 5.
Yeah, so you advertise the meeting as a voting meeting.
Yes.
Take a vote. You've heard public comment, so you can entertain a motion for approval for the administration to move forward as the agenda item list. And then Lori can read a roll call once there's a second in discussion.
Okay, so
Ms. Kinshu, would you like to make a recommendation, please?
Certainly. I move that we put to vote item number 1, ways and means for the online academy.
Okay, is there any additional corrections or statements? Anybody want to, how about people at home? Is there anybody out there that would like to make a comment before we second the vote? If not, I need a second.
Second.
Second carries.
so Laura, okay,
Second,
so we had Jeff Kinshu put the motion in place, and we had Tara Bolton do the second.
Okay, we have a second. We have a roll call vote, please.
okay. Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
Mr. Huffman,
He's going to text in his answer, so go ahead and move on.
He
Okay.
needs to close his vote.
Oh, he does? Okay.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry.
Can he just call? and-
Tell him to call you. He's going to call in.
You can hear him, and
Okay.
he can hear the legal and sunshine law.
Okay.
okay. Mrs. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Groft,
Yes,
And Mr. Poppins calling in here shortly.
Yep, we'll get it.
So we'll wait on that one.
okay.
Motion carried, but we want the minutes to reflect his vote if he's able to get it.
He said yes.
Doesn't count.
I can call him.
Yeah, call
just
him.
Call him, because he's looking at his phone. That's what my clients do to me. They're like, oh, she's texting? She's available. And they're usually right.
What?
he won't answer.
The minutes can easily reflect that he's in support, but his vote can't be counted officially. So it would be
Okay.
a no.
We have-
Or, do you have anyone missing?
We have one missing, one absent, 7-0, because unless he calls in, but that's
Yeah.
fine.
You can see him. Time to give a thumb up or a thumb down.
He's not even on. I think he joined the live stream instead. He was having issues.
Hope he doesn't mean like I miss him.
So,
You have your phone for it. Oh,
There we go.
hey, hold on.
Say it really loud.
Could you say it really loud that you approve for the CVOA?
say your name and yes.
Say your name and say yes, if you want to, or no.
William Huffman, yes.
Thank you.
8-0.
Thank you, Bill.
We improvise.
All right,
All right.
so
That's-
motion carries. You're free to begin.
All right. Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to stop our live stream, and I'd like to go into an executive session to talk personnel.
Do you have non-agenda related items for public comment on there? I thought you did.
We do. Let me
But
see if
just
there's.
anything, and then you can cut it off.
I'm sorry, that's right. We have non-agenda related items. We do have one non-agenda related item, and it comes from Carol Stowell. She's not a resident of the district, but her question was, she's a concerned citizen in York County. And her question was, I am doing a survey of school boards in the county. How are your school board members chosen? Please clarify the process. Thanks.
She doesn't have a right to ask a question. She's not a resident,
Yeah.
unless she's an employee or a student.
No, neither of those. But
All
she-
her comments been made and we don't have to respond.
Nope, but to just go on the record, she did email us and
Yeah.
we did respond to her and let her know the
Okay.
process.
Thank you.
Well, we're nice here like that, contrary to popular belief.
Now you can go to executive session.
All right, so now we'll go to executive session. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to stop the live stream here.
I'll grab the door.
Let's see here. Let me go here. And